Are you serious? You hid it from me. I blurted as I stared at the bridal invitation in my trembling hands, my heart pounding in my chest. It was a chilly autumn afternoon, the wind howling outside my apartment window as if echoing the storm inside me. My name is Alex, and until that moment, I thought my relationship with Samantha was built on honesty and trust. But everything changed when I uncovered her secret. She had been engaged, and she'd hidden it from me. And if that wasn't painful enough, just a few days later, she called me and asked if I'd photograph her wedding. I remember the conversation like it was yesterday. We were sitting at our favorite coffee shop, a small, cozy spot with vintage chairs and a scent of freshly ground espresso, and I had been excitedly discussing weekend plans when she casually mentioned, "I'm meeting up with friends tonight." I nodded, expecting our usual enthusiastic exchanges. But that night, as I scrolled through our shared iCloud photos to plan my next shoot, I saw something that made my stomach drop. There, among snapshots of our past adventures, I discovered a folder labeled Secret Engagement. Curiosity and dread intertwined as I opened it. Inside were photos of Samantha, smiling in places I'd never seen her before, wearing a ring that sparkled with the promise of a future I was never told about. My blood ran cold. At first, I couldn't believe it. How could the woman I trusted so completely keep such an important part of her life hidden from me? Every memory of our late-night conversations, every tender moment we shared, now felt like a betrayal. My mind raced with questions. When did this start? Who is the man she's engaged to? And why hide it from me if we were so close? The digital evidence was undeniable, and it cut deeper than any spoken word. The shock and the silent countdown. In the days that followed, I tried to piece together the timeline of her deception. I scrolled through our chat history, scrutinizing every message for clues. There were vague replies and hurried responses whenever I asked about her plans. I reread old emails and even checked her social media posts, only to find subtle inconsistencies. Group photos with friends that never included me, captions that hinted at secret celebrations, and comments that I later understood were code for something more. Every piece of the puzzle confirmed one harsh truth. Samantha had been engaged for months, and I was completely in the dark. I spent many sleepless nights replaying our conversations in my head. I remembered her laughing softly as we discussed relationship goals, her eyes alight with promises of forever. Now, those same eyes had concealed a secret so vital it shattered my trust. The pain was overwhelming, and I found myself withdrawing from my usual world, quietly resenting not only the betrayal but also the loss of a future I had envisioned with her. The proposal that changed everything. Then, as if the universe were determined to twist the knife further, I received a call on a rainy Wednesday evening. It was Samantha. Her voice, usually warm and familiar, sounded distant and almost apologetic. "Alex, I need to talk to you about something," she said in a hushed tone. My heart sank, dread pooling in my stomach. I answered cautiously, "Sure, what's up?" There was a pause, a moment stretched by uncertainty, and then she blurted out, "I'm getting married." I froze. "You're getting married? Since when?" I managed to ask, my voice wavering between shock and barely contained anger. "I've been engaged for a while now," she said, almost inaudibly. "And I know you weren't aware. I'm sorry." Before I could press further, the conversation took another unexpected turn. "I was wondering if you'd be interested in photographing the wedding," she added, her tone blending regret with a hint of desperate normalcy. I could hardly process the contradiction. The woman who had kept her engagement a secret from me, whom I had loved with all my heart, was now asking me to capture what was supposed to be one of the happiest days of her life. It was as though our history, our shared memories, were now reduced to a commodity, and I was expected to be grateful for the opportunity to document her new beginning. Confronting the secrets. In the days that followed, I couldn't shake the weight of her unanswered silence and hidden photographs. I needed to know why she'd done it. My emotions swung wildly between fury and deep sadness. Finally, I decided that I couldn't continue in limbo. I called her and asked if we could meet in person, face to face, with nothing to hide. We agreed to meet at a quiet park, a neutral ground away from the stifling confines of our past apartment and the public glare of the city. I arrived early, trying to steady my racing heart, and sat on a weathered bench under a sprawling oak tree. The park was serene, with children laughing in the distance and couples strolling hand in hand. It was a stark contrast to the tumult raging inside me. When Samantha arrived, she looked remarkably different, more subdued, as if the weight of her secrets had finally caught up with her. I took a deep breath and began, "Samantha, I found your secret engagement folder on our shared drive. I know you've been engaged for months, and I need to understand. Why did you hide this from me?" Her face fell, and for a few moments, silence reigned, a silence so thick I could almost hear my own heartbeat. She looked up, tears glistening in her eyes. "Alex, I'm so sorry," she said softly. "I never intended to hurt you. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you that I wasn't sure about us anymore." The words tumbled out in a rush. I felt pressured, overwhelmed by everything, our future, our expectations. I thought, if I kept it to myself, I could find clarity on my own terms. And then, I met someone else, someone who made me feel alive in ways I couldn't explain. Her confession hit me like a tidal wave, betrayal, fear, and heartbreak intertwined in a mess of emotions. I struggled to keep my voice steady. "So, you hid your engagement from me," I said, the pain evident in every word, "and then you ask me to photograph your wedding, like it's just another assignment." She nodded, unable to meet my eyes. "I know it sounds callous, but I'm not asking for forgiveness. I need you to see the truth of what I've become. I need you to capture it, the good parts, the flawed parts, everything. I want the world to see me as I am, without pretense." I stared at her, a storm of emotions swirling inside me. In that moment, I realized that the woman I once loved was gone, replaced by someone I barely recognized, someone who had made choices I could neither understand nor accept. A choice and a new path. In the weeks that followed our painful conversation, I wrestled with the decision of whether to photograph her wedding. Every fiber of my being screamed against it. How could I celebrate a day built on betrayal? Yet, as the wedding date approached, I found myself confronted with the fact that this was not just about her or our past. It was about reclaiming my own narrative. I didn't want to be defined solely by the betrayal or the broken promises. I wanted to prove that even in the face of heartbreak, I could stand strong, document the truth, and move forward. After much soul-searching, I decided that I would take the assignment, on one condition: that my photographs tell an honest story, not just of the wedding's superficial beauty, but of the complex, raw truth behind it. I called her and said, "I'll photograph the wedding, Samantha. But I want you to know, I'm doing this for me. I need to prove to myself that I can turn betrayal into art, that I can capture the beauty of truth even when it's painful." She agreed, tears silently rolling down her cheeks. And so began one of the most challenging yet cathartic projects of my career. Every day leading up to the wedding, I prepared meticulously, scouting the venue, planning the shots, and even documenting my own feelings in a private journal. I wanted the photos to reflect not just a wedding, but the journey of transformation, the sadness, the anger, the resolve, and ultimately, the hope for a new beginning. The wedding day, a symphony of emotions. The day of the wedding dawned bittersweet and somber. The sky was overcast, a muted backdrop that somehow felt fitting for the event. As I arrived at the venue, a beautiful, rustic chapel set in a meadow dotted with wildflowers, I could feel the weight of all that had transpired in the last few months. I was greeted by guests who carried a mixture of congratulatory smiles and sympathetic glances, as if they sensed the underlying tension. Samantha's new fiancé, a charismatic man named Daniel, welcomed me with a perfunctory smile. There was an air of formality in his expression, as if he too was aware of the strange history that bound us. As I began to photograph the preparations, I captured every detail: the soft glow of fairy lights strung between ancient trees, the teary smiles of close friends, and the fleeting expressions on Samantha's face as she navigated through her responsibilities as a bride-to-be. I also took my time interviewing guests under the guise of candid interactions. In one conversation with an older woman who had been a close friend of Samantha's, I gently probed about the bride's demeanor. "She seems a bit distant today," the woman confided softly. "I think there's a lot behind those eyes, a story of choices and regrets, maybe, but also of hope." Every word she said echoed in me, a reminder that life's most authentic stories are often layered with both pain and promise. As the ceremony commenced and Samantha walked down the aisle, I carefully documented every moment. I watched as she exchanged vows with Daniel, the words filled with promise yet tinged with an undercurrent of resignation. I photographed the subtle glances between her and Daniel, the brief, fleeting moments when her eyes seemed to wander as if searching for something lost. It was as if the entire day was a bittersweet symphony, a collection of moments where beauty and sorrow danced together in a fragile, poignant embrace. During the reception, when the time came for the first dance, I captured a particularly telling moment: Samantha stood alone on the dance floor for a heartbeat before Daniel approached, his face full of concern. That solitary moment was a powerful image for me, a silent testament to what was hidden behind the smiles and well wishes. Later, in a quiet corner of the reception, I captured a series of close-up portraits that told their own story, smiles that didn't quite reach the eyes, laughter that seemed rehearsed, and a general air of longing for a truth that had been long buried. The aftermath and a quiet resolution. After the wedding, I spent nights reviewing the photographs, each image a chapter in a story of betrayal, transformation, and unexpected catharsis. I compiled them into a private album, A Wedding of Truth, that was as much about my own journey as it was about the event. Every photograph was unfiltered, a raw record of emotions too complex for words alone. I knew I would eventually share the album, not as a means to embarrass Samantha or Daniel, but as a testament to the power of authenticity. I wanted others who had suffered betrayal to see that even in the most painful moments, there is beauty and strength. In time, I published a series of blog posts accompanied by the album, detailing my process of capturing the wedding. The posts went viral, resonating with thousands of readers who saw in my photographs a mirror of their own hidden truths. Comments poured in. "Your images are so raw and real, they speak to the heart," one reader wrote. "I felt every emotion, every quiet sorrow and hope. Thank you for sharing your truth," said another. The overwhelming support filled me with a bittersweet satisfaction. I had transformed personal pain into art that connected with others. Samantha later reached out briefly, her tone subdued. "Alex, I'm sorry for everything," she said in a quiet message. I replied, "I'm not here to reopen wounds, Samantha. I hope you find the truth that you're seeking." It wasn't forgiveness, not fully, but rather an acknowledgement of the closure that honesty can bring. Reflections on betrayal and healing. Now, as I sit in my modest home office with my camera by my side and my laptop open to A Wedding of Truth, I reflect on the journey that began with shattered trust and led to the unearthing of a painful reality. I learned that betrayal often comes in many forms, sometimes loud and unforgiving, and sometimes hidden away in digital folders and unspoken secrets. The truth, once revealed, is both a burden and a liberation. It stings with the memory of what was lost, yet it clears the path for healing and transformation. I began to understand that while love and trust are fragile, they are also the foundation upon which we build our lives. When someone we care about hides their truth, it can feel like the very ground beneath us is crumbling. But in that chaos, there is also an opportunity to rediscover who we are and to rebuild stronger than before. I continue to share my journey on my blog, Digital Truths and Heartbeats, where I write candidly about the complexities of modern relationships, the interplay between digital evidence and emotional truth, and the slow, painful process of healing from betrayal. I've found that by sharing my story, I help others feel less alone in their own struggles, and together, we forge a community where honesty, no matter how raw, is celebrated. A new beginning. That wedding, with its bittersweet moments and unspoken truths, became a turning point in my life. I began to embrace the notion that closure doesn't mean forgetting the past. It means accepting it, learning from it, and using it as a stepping stone to a future that is unequivocally yours. My journey taught me that even when someone takes your car, your dog, and your dignity, and hides their secrets on a shared drive, the truth, when faced head-on, can set you free. In the end, I didn't just survive the betrayal, I transformed it into art, into a legacy of resilience and honesty. I learned that every bitter moment can be repurposed into something that not only heals you but also inspires others to reclaim their power. My photographs from that wedding remind me daily of the strength to stand up for my truth, and my blog posts echo that message. Our lives are too precious to be defined by someone else's deceit. So, to anyone reading this who has ever been betrayed or left questioning everything you thought you knew, remember this: your truth is your most powerful asset. Document it, own it, and use it to build the life you deserve. Because in the end, the journey from betrayal to healing is not linear. It is a winding road paved with both sorrow and unexpected beauty. I was once at the mercy of hidden secrets and lies, and I felt my world shatter. But in confronting those truths, I discovered an inner strength I never knew existed. I rebuilt my life one painful piece at a time, and each step forward was a step away from the shadows of betrayal and into the light of self-empowerment. This is my story, a tale of love betrayed, secrets uncovered, and the painful yet cathartic journey toward reclaiming my dignity and my future. I learned that even when a person you trust hides the truth, you have the power to rise, to document every detail, and to transform the hurt into a narrative of strength and renewal. May my journey inspire you to never shy away from the truth, no matter how painful it may be. Embrace every raw emotion, document every vital moment, and let those scars be the marks of battles fought and victories earned. For in the end, it's not the betrayal that defines you but the courage to face it, learn from it, and build a future that is unbreakable, a future that is undeniably your own.